10 for his briefing. I now give the floor to Ms. Anjali Vijay Kulthe.
Namaste,
Honorable Chair, Excellencies, Namaste to all of you. I am Anjali Vijay Kulthe from Mumbai, India. I am a staff nurse at the Kama and Albles Hospital in Mumbai. This is one of the earliest hospitals in India, established exclusively for women and children in 1886 with support from private donors. I have been working at this hospital for the last 22 years. I am one of the fortunate ones who survived the terrorist attack on the hospital on the night of 26 November 2008. As a victim and survivor of terrorism, I bring to this Council's notice the voice of trauma and sorrow endured by families of victims and survivors of terrorist attacks from across the world. On 26 November 2008, I had a night shift in the antenatal care unit from 8 p.m. 20 pregnant women were under my charge that night. I had 2 helpers, Hira and Madhu, assisting me. An hour later, we were informed that the city's main railway station, around a mile away from the hospital, has been stormed by terrorists. Our senior officials called and asked us to prepare for an emergency. While we began preparing, we heard gunshots being fired at around 10:30 p.m. from behind the hospital. I and my helpers quickly moved to the window of my ward's bathroom. We noticed that 2 persons with guns entered the hospital after jumping over the wall. One of them fired at our window. We closely escaped the bullet, which hit one of my helpers' thumb and the lights of the ward. Hira's thumb was profusely bleeding and the room became dark. I escorted her to the accident ward on the ground floor for the treatment. I also informed the chief medical officer of the hospital that terrorists have entered our hospital and are firing. As I rushed towards the ward on first floor, I saw the same 2 terrorists shooting the 2 security guards of the hospital. Both the security guards fell on the floor with their bodies heavily bleeding. I was extremely scared. I gathered courage and rushed to the first floor. I closed the main iron door and shifted all the patients to the pantry with the help of another staff. I locked the door and switched off the lights so that the shooters could not see the patients. At all costs, I wanted to protect my patients from firing by terrorists. While I was locking the door, I saw 2 terrorists rushing towards the second floor and being chased by some policemen. We heard firing continuously. We experienced heavy shocks because of explosion of grenades. While we were hiding in the ward, I thought to myself, death is inevitable in this life. Why not die valiantly? I consoled my petrified patients who were in advanced stages of pregnancy. I feared that some of my patients would go into labor due to fear-induced high blood pressure. Such a condition could be extremely serious for both the mother and baby's life. And my fear came alive. Suddenly, a patient shrieked that she was going into labor. My medical officer could not come down from second floor. I felt helpless. I didn't know what to do next. Suddenly, I felt my uniform gave me the courage, and my passion for nursing gave me clarity of thought. I escorted my patient to the pregnancy ward, but she was scared and reluctant to come with me to the ward. I assured her and requested her to follow me. While we were climbing the staircase, we heard heavy gun firing and hand grenade explosions. With faith, I managed to get my patient to the labor room. A while later, we were able to midwife a healthy baby. Then I returned to my ward to check on my other 19 patients. We spent the whole night in complete darkness with patients locked up in rooms. We opened the doors next day morning as the police arrived. It was hard to believe that we were alive. I could not sleep peacefully for several nights and woke up many times in middle of many nights with vivid memories of the terrorist attacks. I shiver even today as I recall the night of terrorist attacks. While the terrorists were killing human beings like insects, I am happy that I was able to save lives of 20 pregnant women and their unborn babies. Although the terror and horror of that night is still alive with me, I soothe myself by thinking of the several lives I and my colleagues in the hospital saved. One month after this terrorist attack, I was summoned by authorities to identify the lone surviving terrorist, Ajmal Kasab, of these attacks. Although my family feared reprisals for testifying in the court, I chose to be the witness. In the jail, when I recognized him, he smiled sarcastically and said, "Madam, you recognized me correctly. I am Ajmal Kasab." Kasab did not have an iota of remorse, no shame, no guilt. His sense of victory haunts me even today. Whenever I see news reports on television about terrorist attacks anywhere in the world, my heart goes out for the victims and survivors of such attacks who live rest of their lives in trauma. We, the victims of 26/11 Mumbai attacks, continue to wait for justice, as the sponsors of these dastardly attacks remain free even after 14 years. Too many lives have been lost, too many children have been orphaned, too many people have been traumatized. I request the international community through this council to bring the sponsors of 26/11 Mumbai attacks to justice and give the families of victims a closure. Thank you.